I I don't even know where to begin. I've just had an epiphany because of you. 28 years ago today, you took your last breath, and I was 18 years old, and you chose me to walk you to your passing. The day you died will be etched in my memory forever. It was the end of everything and the start of everything. It was the first time I saw the connection in physical form between life and death, when 2 days after your tangi you came to Dad with that music box in your room. I have carried the guilt for 28 years because I blamed myself for the fact that when I was breathing my air into your lungs, I couldn't save you, and seeing the pain and suffering on Mum and Dad's face, I felt responsible for that for a long time. The argument we had the week before you died, the fact that you left a 7-week-old baby and an 8-year-old son, everything changed the day you died. And I carried that pain with me for a long time. But in remembering you today, I had the realization as I'm looking back on my life, because you've been gone longer than I knew you. I knew you for 18 years, and you've been gone 28. And I've been looking back at everything, and you know, this whole restructuring of my life, and this phoenix moment that I'm going through, you know, the alignment of my mind, body and spirit, and re-establishing my career, and you know, my science and my gift and my work in that. I'm laying here with tears in my eyes thinking about you and the last 28 years, and I came to realise that the work that I want to do with mental health is because of you. I still carry the scar on my foot from where you burnt me as a child, as a baby. I remember you putting the spoon into the heater and putting it on my foot. I remember it. I wasn't even one, I don't think. I remember sitting on the floor in a t-shirt, dress thing and nappy, and I remember you putting, I think it was a fork, into the heater, the bar of the heater, and putting it on my foot. And I remember being told growing up that you said because you wanted to see what it would do. And I remember as a little girl, because you're 10 years older than me, the story of you having a nervous breakdown at 14 and having to go away for a little while. and it stayed with me. It was a stigma that you carried your entire life. It was the thing that nobody talked about in our family, and it bothered me because you always seemed so sad, and you were so beautiful. You were, out of all of us girls, the most feminine, hard-working, caring, loving woman I knew growing up. And when you were 24 and you got cancer, everything changed. You had half of your leg removed. Your calf muscle was pretty much removed by the time you had all the tumours from the skin cancer removed from your calf. I remember tearing strips off that woman in the cafe you worked at because she had asked you while you were serving her what was wrong with your leg, and I wanted to kill her. I was so proud of you. I was so proud of your strength. Because for someone who had had 5 operations on her leg, where the cancer just kept coming back and coming back and coming back, until by the time you were 28 it had caused a tumour in your brain, you were told you had 6 months to live at the same time you were told you were pregnant, and I watched you give birth and choose life for your child over the life of your own, because I remember you being told if you terminated the baby you would live for 2 years longer. You were told the baby was due on the 31st of May, and they induced you, and you had her on the 17th of April, and you died on the 31st of May. And you lay dying in my arms. And I have never seen anyone die with so much dignity and poise and grace in all my life. You were blind. You were losing your hearing. You were losing your balance. And you were absolutely the most beautiful cancer patient I'd ever seen in my life. And you were only 28 years old. Laurie, my sister, my big sister, I will never forget our last 12 hours together. I don't have a lot of memories of you now, but the ones I do have are etched into my brain. And I came to realise just now that the work I want to do with people with mental health is because of you. because I was too young to help you when you were going through it. And your death gave me life, because it was the start of me understanding the way the dead communicate. It was the start of me having my visions of the cleansing with the black president and the burning of America, and the cleansing and everything all started happening after your death. Those visions that I started having at 18 and 19 of, the African American bodies piled up in the streets and the blood running down into the streets and the American flag on fire, and the black president and the Hillary Clinton stuff and all the things I couldn't understand back then, because George Bush Sr. was president and all that sort of stuff. Like, it didn't make sense to me, and it was terrifying because I didn't understand what was going on. But it was your death and the start of those visions I was having that has led me to where I am right now today, because I needed to understand what I was seeing. I needed to understand what was going on. And my blog eventually became all about the visions I was having to do with the start of that cleansing and Julian Assange and everything that's going on now in America, and that is because of everything I started seeing after you died, which ended up leading me down a path of the science that I do now, and the links between the paranormal and the psychological state of mind, and being able to tell the difference between the dead and spirits, and the intuitive and the instinctual, and the psychological mind and the psychic mind. And I wouldn't have any of that, and I wouldn't know what I know, and I wouldn't be what I am today. If you hadn't have taken your last breath on this day 28 years ago, back home in New Zealand. And my sister, I just want you to know that I am going to take your legacy with me wherever I go, so that children who are suffering from mental health issues don't have to live with the stigma of it like you did. I obviously felt helpless as a child, watching my sister, who was a child, go through such mental torment, that I must have made myself determined to want to do something about it when I was old enough to be able to do something about it. And I just find it incredible that I had the epiphany on this day, on the anniversary of your death. I hope you can forgive me that I couldn't save you, but I promise you, since your death, you and I have saved thousands of lives. We've helped people put the guns down and turn away from the pills and climb down off those nooses and get away from those buildings. And I can't thank you enough for giving me this gift of life, because I wouldn't have it if you hadn't have died. And I promise, Laurie, your legacy is going to live on. And people are going to know that everything I do from this point on, in my work with the paranormal and my work with mental health, was because of you. Thank you for teaching me this lesson. It's taken me 28 years to shed the skin of the guilt that I carried for not being able to save you. Just like I couldn't save you when I was a child. But I'm gonna do good with it, I promise, with all my heart. And I'm gonna make you proud of me. And so that you will always know that your death wasn't in vain. That out of your death came so much life. Your death has literally saved the lives of thousands of people, Laurie. Because it was me you chose to hold your hand as you walked to the other side. Your death and the lessons that came with it have been invaluable to me. And I am so proud and I am so honoured to be your sister, your little sister. So it's a bittersweet day because it's the anniversary of your passing. But I think I just rose from the ashes. Your death brought about my phoenix moment. And I'm going to do good with it. I'll spread my wings wide enough that I can carry as many people as I can. You have my word on that, my beautiful sister. And I love you so much. I love you more than light. And when I build my skull, there's going to be a special place there just for you. Because you're the whole reason why it's going to exist in the first place. Because now I understand where the correlation comes about with my need to want to help children who are dealing with mental health. And because you were a writer and a poet. Quite an epiphany, I'd say. Laurie Wanda Callahan. You were one of the best things that ever happened to my life. And I will carry your ancestry with pride.